Well, welcome to the Citrus County Chronicle election coverage. We have made an invitation to all those candidates that you're going to see on the primary election ballot to come into the Citrus County Chronicle and spend a couple minutes with us to get to know them just a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit more personal. They spend a lot of time on the campaign trail trying to be out in public as much as they can, and we just thought this was another way to get folks to be able to learn a little bit more about candidates. And with me today, I have Dale Merrill. Dale is in a very crowded school board race. There's 4 candidates in this race, but Dale is running for school board, and it's the seat 2?
Seat 2, John.
Seat 2, very good. It's the only school board race that you're going to see on your ballot this week, this year. So Dale, rather than me telling the folks about you, tell us a little bit about you, your background, a little bit about your candidacy.
Sure. I'm running for school board because I really want to work on the issue of behavioral health. I'm the only candidate that has the complete set of skills and education in order to fulfill this job. I have experience as a lawyer. I've been a lawyer in our community for a number of years. I also have experience in business. I worked in the software industry for over 20 years, managing officers in Europe, America, Canada, and Mexico. And prior to that, I was an educator. So I really bring the whole picture together, John. I also have an education that supports that. I have a bachelor's in English, a master's in American Studies, a CSS in Management, a MBA in Marketing Strategy and Operations, and also a Juris Doctorate. So all of that comes together in a picture that really is what the school board needs. The school board is really a position that focuses on the issue of strategy, and they focus on the issues such as expulsions. They really are legalistic kind of board. They take state law and they put policy together that's consistent with the state law. They do due process hearings such as expulsions and reviewing of teacher and other employee hearings. And that really is the kind of stuff that lawyers live and breathe. They would also have a budget of $320 million, and that's not something for an amateur. That's someone with a bit of a business background that I have. And I've managed large projects in major Fortune 500 companies, and that's very important. I also understand education, because I did teach, and more recently I've gotten involved in the school system. I've gone out and actually given up billable hours to
I don't know an attorney that can say that out loud.
to substitute teach, because I wanted to understand from the ground floor what's going on, what's happening with our students, what's happening with our teachers, the bus drivers, the custodians, everybody who works in the school system. I wanted to understand it firsthand.
Very good, very good. So I just want to ask a couple little questions.
Sure.
As I said, I want to get folks to know a little bit about you and who you are, and maybe a couple of viewpoints on some things. You mentioned, the budget, right? And the school budget, for those that might not realize this, many aspects of it are encumbered funds, right? You get these mandates from Tallahassee that may or may not include funding, and when you do have funding, they probably have strings attached to it because you can only use them in certain areas and such. I know that when I'm out talking with folks in the community, the growth of our community is a significant conversation. How does the growth of our community impact the school system, and what do you see as kind of the future vision for the school system if you were so to be elected, and as it relates to the growth that we have in our student population?
Sure, we're looking at a 15% growth in our population over the next 4 years, and that's kind of scary. Unfortunately, we have a situation where our state puts a lot of restrictions on how we spend our money. They put a lot of restrictions on when we can build schools and when we can't, and what steps we have to go through in order to build those schools. So initially we have to show that we're at capacity. We need to, people hate to hear it, but they have to use portables before we can actually start building new school systems. So because of the state restrictions, we're really kind of behind the 8 ball all the time in terms of building new schools.
Because the school system right now already has some land set aside, but that process doesn't even allow some of that land to be used at this point. Is that correct? Is that how that works?
That's how I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Very good. So what's that one big issue, right? You probably have a dozen things that are really concerning to you. You said you spent some time in the school system, really kind of get a deeper dive and understanding. But what's that really one issue that resonates with you that you would bring to the school board if you were so elected?
I really want to work on the issue of behavioral health. I personally had adopted a child who had a lot of issues. I got her when she was 7. She had been through 11 foster homes the year before I got her. Wow. And so I got very involved with children who had behavior management disorders. As a criminal defense lawyer, I see how that impacts the larger society. When I sit with my clients, I wish that some of them had had some of the opportunities that my daughter had had. I had ultimately, had my daughter into the model for inclusion in school. That did not work. She was the child that really disrupted the rest of the class that people didn't want to have in the classroom. Then I moved her into eventually a school that dealt with just behavior management disorder. Children who have autism, Tourette's, post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of things like that, disabilities. And those are all treated roughly the same, so they can be treated in the same kind of environment. We have some programs here in Citrus County. CERMI does some behavior management programs, and PACE also does that, but we do it after the fact, after the child has done something wrong. I'd like to see us be more proactive in terms of trying to give the kids the skills they need before they commit a criminal offense. When we look at our society and you look at our prison population, and 1/3 of the people who commit a crime committed their first offense before they were 16 years old.
Wow.
2/3 of them committed their first offense before they were 19. That says to me that our schools are in the best position to help us. Now everybody says, well, parents, need to be the ones in charge, but some parents don't have the ability to do it. They may have their own issues happening, and other parents are begging for help. Other parents may have a child that's, let's say, on the autism spectrum, and they really need help with their child. And these children are very susceptible to both, kids with behavior management disorders being bullies and also being bullied in the school system. And, we need to work with these kids so they can become productive citizens. Look at the program I got my daughter into, and she's 38 years old now, and she's in touch with all of her classmates. And of her classmates, they all passed the state test to graduate. They all graduated. They all went on to some kind of further education beyond high school. In addition to that, none of them have felonies. And I think that that's a major success. And that's what I'd like to see for our children in Citrus County, is I'd like to see us being able to turn our children into productive citizens. So that's the key thing that I really want to work on.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you, Dale, for your time today. Again, Dale Merrill, seating the only school board race that you're going to see on the ballot. And speaking of ballot, let me give you some dates and some reminders, just so we're all on the same page. Last day to change your party affiliation or even register to vote is going to be on July the 22nd. Also want to remind you that early vote starts on August the 9th, runs through August 17th, and that's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. each one of those days. And of course, Election Day, 7 to 7 p. on August the 20th. Again, Dale Merrill, school board candidate for school board seat 2. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, John, very much. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it.